Welcome to Greedy Bitch, a podcast where we teach you to go from being burnt out, broke, and broken to healthy, wealthy, and happy. Building a grooming business on your terms. Here's your host, River Lee.
Classic ones and zeros, baby. I'm obsessed with you. Give it to me, baby. Give it to me, baby. Every money, everything I need.
Hello, and welcome back to Greedy Bitch, the podcast for groomers who are done apologizing for wanting more. I'm your host, River Lee, founder of The Savvy Groomer, and today's episode is a direct follow-up to our last conversation about falling in love with your clients and stopping yourself from building a business around fling clients. Because once you've started asking, who am I actually in a relationship with in this business? The next question becomes, okay, but then how am I communicating with them? And that's where policies come in. Whether you realize it or not, your policies are a love language. It tells clients what you value, what you tolerate, what they can expect, and how safe your business actually is. And if your policies are unclear, inconsistent, and constantly feel bent, as in being bent over, girl, you're sending mixed signals. And those mixed signals, they do not attract soulmate clients. They attract confusion, entitlement, and ultimately burnout, especially as we head straight into shavedown season. Let's start with why policies feel hard for many groomers. Well, let's be honest. Most groomers don't hate policies because they're unnecessary. They hate them because policies feel mean, awkward, confrontational, and it feels like you're being difficult, right? It feels like as the groomer, these policies make people have to bend over for you. We're taught to be accommodating, to be kind, to be understanding. And somewhere along the way, professional got confused with people pleasing. The customer's always right is total bullshit. So instead of policing feeling like support, they now start to feel like punishment, right? A lot of groomers see their policies as almost like this stick to whap their clients with when they don't behave. But the truth is, avoiding policies doesn't make you kind. It makes your business confusing. And confused clients don't feel safe. They feel entitled, or worse yet, they feel like they can't trust you. Because when expectations aren't clear, people fill in the gaps with whatever works best for them. And that's not a client problem, that's a communication problem. And it always shows up when you're already tired. Let's talk about mixed signals because this is where most businesses quietly train the wrong behavior. Mixed signals look like policies that exist but aren't actually enforced, case by case expectations that happen constantly, apologizing when you enforce your own boundaries, saying this is our policy, and then immediately bending it or ignoring it. That's the equivalent of saying, I have standards, but not really. And clients respond accordingly. Here's the thing I want you to hear very, very clearly. You don't attract fling clients, you train them. Okay? If clients learn that pickup times are flexible, fees are negotiable, boundaries depend on your mood, and policies only happen sometimes, they will test every edge. Not because they're bad people, but because inconsistently teaches people to push, right? Think about Jurassic Park and the raptors constantly testing the fence. You need to have strong fences, otherwise you're going to have dinosaurs rolling all over the island, okay? Now, if your policies are flexible, your clients will be too. And this gets especially dangerous during shavedown season because when stress is high, you're enforcing boundaries reactively instead of proactively. That's when resentment builds. That's when burnout escalates. Did you know that soulmate clients love structure? Here's the reframe that changes everything. Soulmate clients don't want flexibility, they want clarity. They want to know how your business works, what to expect, what the rules are, and that those rules don't randomly change. Structure feels safe to aligned clients. Professionalism feels calming. Predictability builds trust. High quality clients expect clear boundaries, clear communication, and clear systems around your business. They don't want to negotiate. They don't want you to make an exception. And they certainly don't want chaos. They want to drop their dog off and trust that everything is going to be handled. Boundaries don't push soulmate clients away, they invite them in. And every time you enforce a policy without apology, you're sending them a clear message. This business is stable. This business is predictable. This business respects itself. Now, I want you guys to think about if you've ever worked around certain breeds of dogs. Some breeds of dogs really need that calm assurance. We don't have to be the alpha necessarily, but when I'm working with a German Shepherd, it is what it is, right? I need that dog to know that I have everything handled and it's a very matter-of-fact transaction. When we allow dogs to do whatever they want and run around and be chaotic, right? That inconsistency makes dogs unhappy, right? That wishy-washiness makes dogs unhappy. You can jump on the couch sometimes, but not all the time. And if I don't want you to jump on the couch, then you can't jump on the couch. But if it's a Sunday and it's raining and I'm just too tired to argue with you, you can jump on the couch, right? That inconsistency, we would say, is very bad for dogs' mental health. Yet we expect humans to not feel the same way. Okay. And people who respect your boundaries, they're going to stick around. Policies are an act of self-respect. This is the part that doesn't get talked about enough. Policies aren't just for clients, they're also for you. Okay. So it's every time you over-explain, soften your language, and add disclaimers, say, I'm so sorry, but now I'll be honest, I'm really bad at this one too. I was also taught to be a good girl, and societally, I was expected to, just roll over and give people what they want, right? That whole nonsense of the customer is always right. Well, here's the truth. You're teaching yourself that your needs come second. And over time, that turns into resentment, not because clients are awful, but because you're constantly negotiating with yourself. Policies are going to protect your time, your energy, your emotional bandwidth. And of course, it creates the sustainability. They remove decision fatigue. They remove constant justification. They remove the need to explain yourself every single day. Policies are not about control. They're about self-respect. And a business built on self-respect feels very different to work in. Stop editing yourself for client comfort. One of the biggest red flags I see in a grooming business is over editing. Now, what does that mean? That is softening language, adding disclaimers, trying to make everything sound nicer. Now, I'm not saying you need to be super direct and rude and mean, but for instance, it's one of those things that you might say, like, oh, we understand if you can't pick up at 3, just let us know. No, pickup time is 3. And if you don't pick up, then there's going to be this fee. At the same time, if you have a client who this is truly, truly, truly a rare experience, then you can make an exception, but they shouldn't expect to be made the exception, right? Secure relationships don't require constant reassurance. Clear expectations reduce conflict. They don't create them. And you don't need to convince the right clients. You just need to communicate clearly. And to the clients who bristle at that, they were never your soulmate clients anyway, right? Let's be honest. If my boundary is if you cancel within 2 days, you get charged for the groom, a soulmate client understands that if they need to cancel, they're going to pay me, right? They're going to be like, hey, I'm so sorry I have to cancel. Here is the money I owe you. They're just going to do it because that is the boundary. An ideal or a fling client is going to either want to be made an exception or they're going to want to quote unquote get away with it. Again, that is just not fun. Clarity is not cruelty. Boundaries are not rejection. They're just information, and they allow that soulmate client to appreciate you back, to give you that mutual respect back. And let me tell you what, that is one of the most important things to give people like that the opportunity. Because for better or for worse, if I have a soulmate client who is doing the things they're supposed to do, right? They have to cancel 2 days before the groom and they're paying that bill and they're not giving me any fuss, right? That person has respected my boundaries and done what I've asked them to do. And on the flip side, if I have a fling client or let's say an ideal client who cancels even 12 hours before the groom, and they're like, oh, yeah, but insert excuse, right? And they basically tell you why you should make an exception for them. And they're going to fight you on that. You are more likely to give that fling or ideal client, allow them to be bent that and not get those policies enforced. And what does that say about the person who actually follows the rules? If I actually follow the rules and if I'm respecting you, then it's going to cost me more money than if I disrespected you, if I argued with you, right? You're teaching people to disrespect and argue with you because there is a benefit to it. If your policies are clear and they are enforced throughout everyone, then there's no way for me to get around and argue with you and push you in order to get something out of you. Again, remember that clarity is not cruelty, boundaries are not rejection. This is all just information, okay? Now, if this episode made you realize how much energy you're spending managing clients instead of grooming, this awareness matters because shavedown season is coming and it doesn't need to create chaos. It's going to reveal any weak systems that you have. And the best time to fix that is before you're overwhelmed and get 1,000 calls from the once a year doodle, the once a year husky, the once a year matted, impacted mess, right? And that's why we created the Business Workshop Library. Inside the library, you'll find practical, system-focused workshops like onboarding clients and dealing with difficult clients, take control and organize your business, run your business on autopilot. These workshops are designed to help you clarify expectations, strengthen communication, reduce emotional labor, and stop relying on memory and goodwill in your business. Now, the Business Workshop Library is only $200 a year or $50 a month, whichever you prefer. And if you're looking for ongoing support where you actually implement these policies, that's exactly what the Savvy Groomer Circle is for. Inside the circle, you'll get continued education, monthly Q&As, real-time conversations, and support as you build, enforce, and refine your policies, especially during high stress seasons like shavedown season. And for groomers who want deeper access and more personal support, the Inner Circle gives you the next level, including direct access to me, so you're not navigating these decisions alone. You can learn more and join the Savvy Groomer Circle or Inner Circle at savvygroomer.com/membership. If you want to head into shavedown season with clarity instead of chaos, you can find that business workshop library at savvygroomer.com/GWG. Now, guys, as always, stay savvy, stay greedy, and never apologize for wanting more.
Thanks for listening. Find us on social media at The Savvy Groomer and online at savvygroomer.com. Subscribe to be notified for our new episodes. Until next time, happy grooming.